Hello and welcome to a new video. Today we're going to take a look at some moves that need a buff for the upcoming season. We actually did already a very similar video a few weeks ago, so definitely check that one out. Going to be linked at the end card as you can see here right now. I also did a like goal last time around for 777 likes and I'm very certain you hit this one as well, which is really cool. So now we're going to have this video, which was mainly about buffs here right now, while the last one was mainly about nerfs, but also about some buffs, so definitely check that one out. That would impact the meta quite a bit and make it a little bit more healthy. But otherwise, today we're going to take a look at only buffs for already existing moves. And if you want to see a video about potential new moves that would be able to come into the game, for example, Will-O-Wisp or Toxic, which would be very interesting fast move additions for both the poison as well as the fire typing, then definitely leave a like again. We're going to aim for 777 likes again for that one. Also subscribe if you haven't already and we can move right into this. Those videos take always a ton of time, so feel free to leave a like and also let me know in the comment section what you think about the move updates, as well as letting me know what other move updates you would want to see. There were quite a lot of other ones that I considered, but honestly, this is going to be already quite a bit. So let's take a look at the first one. We're going to have Waterfall. Waterfall is one of the moves that I really like to buff a little bit, especially there are some other ones as well, which I'm not always going to have in here right now, but I just want to see a little bit more of a balance in terms of what moves are going to be used. And what I mean with this is the turn duration. Right now, the meta game is all 1 and 2 turn fast moves. There are basically next to no Pokemon, especially in the Open Great League, which use anything else other than 1 and 2 turn fast moves, which is really annoying. There's sometimes still the odd Umbreon with a 3 turn fast moves. So here we're going to take a look at Waterfall. Waterfall going to get 1 extra energy, which is going to make it still a worse Dragon Tail. Dragon Tail has 1 more damage than this variant of Waterfall. And just in general, I would like to see more 3 and 4 turn moves in the game. Maybe even some 5 turn moves. For example, we have Incinerate, which is still to this date the only 5 turn move in the game. I just wish we see like a little bit more of them. Like in general, just a little bit more of a difference between like 1 and 2 turn moves all around. It's just kind of annoying. So let's take a look here right now at Waterfall. If you take a look at, for example, Empoleon, you see already you don't actually even win an extra matchup with it, because right now Waterfall charges perfectly to Hydrokin as well as the Drill Peck. So this only really turns out to make a difference in a longer run. Here we always have the 1-shot scenario, and the 2-shot scenario might be able to reach another charge move a little bit faster, but here, for example, it doesn't make a general difference, but it does make a difference in the average rating for the battles, which is also interesting here. So you see, for example, a little bit of a higher average behind the battle rating. So it doesn't even buff them too much. You could even buff Waterfall a little bit further if it wasn't for the Kyogre here right now. As you can see already, this Pokemon already wins 23 out of the 35 meta matchups here for the Master League in the 1-shot scenario, but of course it would still benefit quite a bit from the buff here, especially getting to those charge moves or like the coverage moves of Thunder, Blizzard or Origin Pulse. So here you would definitely see an increase in the battle rating in average there as well, but you're still going to be very vulnerable from like Dragon type Pokemon. And if you would buff something like Electric type Pokemon, for example Zekrom, a little bit more, then you would also be a little bit fine. I actually wanted to buff Zekrom with the current move that it learns, what's called the Charge Beam, but Charge Beam is also learned by Lantern, so I cannot buff Charge Beam at all, because as soon as it's going to be over basically what Spark does, you're going to have a problem because Lantern already is so broken in the Great League. So I hope that Niantic starts removing moves from certain Pokemon, but let's take a look at the next one. We're going to have Astonish here for the next one. Astonish is going to be an interesting one as well. This move is something that a lot of people want to get buffed. I just gave it 5 more energy. I tried it with 4 more energy and it still didn't do anything. 5 more energy I think makes it like a little bit of a worse Water Shuriken. Going to give it one of the best energy generating moves ever really for this game right now. But again, it's a 3-turn move and it's still going to be way worse than Shadow Claw just because it's a 3-turn move as well. It does way less damage than Shadow Claw as well. So it basically does no damage, just generates energy, which is definitely interesting. But it, again, doesn't impact the meta too much, which is actually something that I wish for Hoopa would be different. Hoopa really needs a buff. Like, please give Hoopa something that it can hold on to. This Pokemon looks so cool. It's such a strong Pokemon in the main series games, and in Pokemon Go it's literally just so horrendous based on the moves it has, which is kind of sad to see. So hopefully Hoopa will get a little bit of a better buff. Astonish will not really do it for it. It's still going to be better for it, of course. Like, it definitely gains a ton of average rating here compared to Confusion. but it still just doesn't do the job for it. For Golurk, it's going to be an interesting one here. While the winds, actually, yeah, the winds can improve with this one. I looked at it before with the Wonders Energy, and it was actually worse than Mudslap. Here, right now, it's going to make this a little bit more, I don't know, average. Going to have still some play most likely in some smaller metas, but right now it's still going to get also completely hardwalled in this case, still from Noctowl for the Great League, so it might not be the best league for it, but might have some more impact for it. Another one would be Golden Go here right now. Golden Go would definitely appreciate it, while the average rating gets higher by quite a bit. Actually, it loses one more matchup, which is kind of interesting, but in general, it's a great upgrade if Astonish would get this buff. There are quite a lot of more Pokemon that would appreciate an Astonish buff, and you have to buff it by quite a bit, as you see here right now, to make it any viable. Let's take a look at the next one. This is something that I kind of want to talk a little bit about anyway. There needs to be a huge grass type update. Honestly, there are basically next to no grass types right now that are really viable, which is kind of sad to see. And I feel like Vine Whip is a decent one to buff a little bit for 6 damage. With this, it's going to be better. Like right now, it's a clone of Wing Attack, and I think there are like some other ones like Quick Attack or something as well, doing 5 damage and 8 energy generation for 2 turns. Here, I just want to have 1 more damage to just get a little bit more damage output from grass type Pokemon, because right now, this Pokemon, like those Pokemon, are basically nowhere to be seen, just because there are quite a lot of flying type Pokemon, but still those would be very decent to counter, for example, Lantern, which is a huge issue right now in the meta. So let's take a look at this one here right now. We see the Chestnut, which is going to have here for the Great League first, 1 win extra, a little bit better than average rating, and you see already this doesn't really impact it too crazy for the Ultra League either. It's just going to make it a little bit better, which I feel like is exactly what we need. We don't need to completely make those Pokemon broken. They're still viable right now, but we're just going to give it a little bit of an edge where you might want to take them or consider them over other Pokemon right now to, for example, also beat something like the current Lantern situation, because Lantern is everywhere. For the Venusaur, you see already very decent for this Pokemon. Actually gains 2 more wins, which is really nice to see as well. Just a little bit better average rating. And for the Ultra League, it actually was surprisingly having great amount of wins there with 28. But here now to 30 would make it a very strong Pokemon in the meta. But you see already the average rating, just a little bit above 500, is basically, like, if it's above 500, it's basically a decent Pokemon to use. If it's like around 550 or something, it's a very strong Pokemon to use. It's something if you want to see, for example, how strong like Pokemon is. The average rating actually kind of shows definitely for a lot of Pokemon how good they actually are here. This is definitely still a good Pokemon, but not a broken Pokemon. Next one, Infestation. Here it's going to be a little bit tricky. I looked at Bug Bite, I looked at Fury Cutter and tried to buff them each as well. Bug Bite 1 more damage, and I think Fury Cutter also tried 1 more damage. Issue with them, they are 1-turn fast moves. If you just buff 1-turn fast moves by just 1 point for either energy or damage, they completely go wild. And while I went through the calculations and whatever, I saw that I could not buff Fury Cutter or Bug Bite. Bug Bite for the Arachnid would basically make it a 2-shot scenario and winning 35 matchups and 9 losses for the Great League. This would completely broke it. So like, I couldn't really do this. Then for Fury Cutter, I looked at it as well. There were also some Pokemon that just completely like destroying everything with Fury Cutter. It does 3 damage instead of 2. So I cannot buff them either. Even though the bug typing is so bad, those moves, because they are 1-turn moves, would just get such a huge buff on it that it wouldn't really help out at all for the meta. I think that would just make Pokemon too broken. So let's take a look here at Infestation, something that's kind of interesting because right now it's not really used too often. You will see it on Arachnid as well, but here we're going to give it 2 more damage, and it's a 3-turn move, so like you kind of want to even buff it maybe even further than this. You could even argue of giving it 3 more damage right now, just to do some damage with Infestation, or even give it an energy buff as well, but this move itself is not really used too often, and there are a lot of bug types that actually can use it. Here, for example, you see it gives it a great upgrade, but doesn't make it overpowered, unlike Bug Bite as an upgrade, for example. You don't really use Infestation right now on the Arachnid, but with Infestation here you would see that it's definitely going to gain a lot of more traction, going to generate energy a little bit faster, which is really cool for Bug Buzz, as well as for, of course, a faster Bubble Beam debuff. But it wouldn't make this Pokemon broken at all, and I think that's exactly where we kind of want to aim it. So let's take a look at another bug type upgrade, which is going to be X-Scissor. This is going to be very interesting, and as X-Scissor is going to get a 10 plus damage upgrade, and we're going to take a look at this. Maybe it's a little bit too much. Currently it's at 45. There are a lot of Pokemon that would be definitely benefiting from it, and as you can see here right now, this might be a little bit of too much of an upgrade. I don't know. Actually, I think it's fine because Beedrill is very squishy. It's not as strong as you might think it is. And Poison Jab plus X-Scissor and Durarun now with a 10 plus upgrade would actually earn you 5 more wins, which is quite a lot. But honestly, it's still an average rating of 533, which is kind of neutral, which is kind of like somewhere around like the Venus area before. It is definitely not a completely broken Pokemon, but I would rather see a Beedrill, which is kind of squishy compared to all the boss, like all the walls right now. And yeah, Drill Run gives it great coverage for the current meta as well. So if you just give Beedrill a little bit of an extra buff, I feel like this Pokemon would definitely love it. But I could see more of a 5 damage upgrade so they don't completely shift the meta game too much. I hope that they really go wild and do some crazy boss for the season, but we have to see. Let's take a look at the next one. We're going to see Golisopod here right now. This Pokemon definitely is going to be interesting. Seem very balanced for the Ultra League right now already, but with us still going to be a little bit better, getting 25 wins there and just barely getting over the 500 average. So I think it's still definitely a Pokemon that's easy to counter. Liquidation still the better move to go for this Pokemon, but X-Scissor with 55 damage would definitely help this Pokemon out quite a bit, as we can see here. Next one, going to be Dig. This move is going to be also an interesting charge move right now. This one is currently 100 damage and 80 energy. Nobody uses, and also only a few Pokemon that are really bad, to be fair, really use it right now, or like have it in their moveset. So I feel like if you would buff it even crazier than I did here right now with minus 20 damage, maybe minus 20 energy, you most likely actually still would be fine. I feel like this is already not enough to really make this move viable either. I would even go further and make maybe minus 25 energy for this move, just in order to make this move a little bit viable for those Pokemon, give those picks a little bit more love. As we will see here, for example, for Gligar, right now you're on Return, and Return is actually going to give you 1 extra win. In general, the average is better with the upgraded Dig here, but like even though it's still not really that crazy of a buff here, to be fair, so that's going to be a little bit of an, yeah, I don't know, I wish there would be a little bit more for it. And yeah, this is going to be it for Dig as well, as you can now take a look at Flame Wheel. We're going to have Flame Wheel here, which is actually a really horrible move. It's 60 damage for 55 energy, which is really bad. Now we go for minus 15 energy, and like this it would be even weaker than Surf. Only one fully evolved Pokemon can learn it, which is the Alolan Marowak. There are some pre-evolutions that can learn it, which doesn't really matter too much. But I would wish that this move would get basically better, like for example what I did here right now. You could even argue of giving it plus 5 damage to make it a Surf clone. But just make this move a little bit better and give it to more Pokemon, because there are a lot of fire type Pokemon that actually can learn this move. But as you can see here right now, for Alolan Marowak, we would still get actually a lower average win there. We will be able to win more games in general there, see one more game. But the average rating goes a little bit down because it's 5 more energy compared to Bone Club, even though it does way more damage and it is stab. Bone Club is just a spammier move, so you can go for the bait and then go for Shadow Bone, which is going to impact the stats here on P-Poke a little bit more, for example, than the 5 extra energy that you need for the Flame Wheel. So I just wish that this move gets a little bit better even than this one here right now. Or you buff something like Fire Spin on the Alolan Marowak, or give it even something like Incinerate, or some, in general, better fast move on this Pokemon in order to make Flame Wheel a little bit better, because you kind of need a little bit better of an energy generation for this Pokemon as well. So definitely interesting move to buff, but right now at least not really that good. Let's take a look at the final one for today, and we're going to take a look at Acrobatics. Right now it's a 60 energy move and a 110 damage, which is really good for in terms of damage, but for 60 energy it takes a long time to get there, and only 2 Pokemon actually learn it in the entire game right now, which is going to be the Emolga as well as the Jumpluff here, and both of them definitely want to have it on their moveset, but also both of them don't really are not really that meta right now, and I really wish that especially the Emolga, but also, of course, also the Jumpluff, going to be a little bit more meta. And we see already, even with this buff of minus 5 energy, Jumpluff actually does not earn that much more. We have like an average rating of 8 more and like 1 more win in total. And the main reason for this is that Energy Ball is just so bad. Like, honestly, we need better grass type moves. But honestly, for this, you kind of need to add more moves to the game in general. So if you want me to take a look at some moves that you can add for Pokemon Go, maybe 5 fast move, 5 charge moves, then yeah, leave a like on the video, subscribe if you haven't already. But this is going to be it for today. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you then. Bye bye. Check out also the video on the screen right now. Bye.